You had to deal with jury duty yourself
I didn't get called
this
in.
month?
I got called in during the shutdown,
Okay.
so I didn't have to go in. So
Well, but you probably still had to take that online training class and you didn't get paid for it. That was part of your jury duty service and experience. And you, like everyone else who was shown up for jury duty, you got cheated. What I'll do is, unfortunately, we don't have a podium here, so I got to sit down while I walk through the slide presentation. Please forgive me for that, but I'll do my best. You don't need to see me. You need to see the slides and hear what I say about them, right? All right, so proceeding. First, this slide, oh, another thing too, this presentation will probably go really fast, maybe faster than you folks might expect, and faster than meetings have gone on in the past, but that's okay. I mean, that's just the way it flows in instruction. All right, moving on. My name is Frank Solomon. Like I said, I blog about what I call jury duty law at ijuror.blogspot.com. We'll see that shortly. Here's a QR code for it. I got so motivated and upset about jury duty and the present state of American jury duty law that I ended up writing a book about it. I called it Common Sense Third Millennium. We'll see a URL. We'll see the webpage for that shortly. And if you or you know someone, if you need technical writing and or software development support, and or you know someone who needs that support, you can reach me at my LinkedIn page right here. Here's the QR code for that. And for issues of jury duty reform, you can reach me at this Gmail address right here. So what happened is in 2017, once again, I got forced into jury duty. I went through all the motions of it, taking the class, registering at the telephone automated support telephone number, and eventually one day in May 2017, they told me to show up at the airport courthouse at, I think it was 9:30 a.m. And that really upset me because of paying the mileage. Of course, we'll see about that shortly. But they wasted my day, just like everyone else who has shown up for jury duty over the years. They've wasted your days as well. You just show up, you spend your time in the ready rooms doing nothing.
I would have loved to. The last time I got called in, I would have loved to have gone in because I just would have walked over. I lived right next door.
Even if you would have loved it, you still should have received minimum wage for all hours that they stole from you. So that motivated me. And I did something about it. What I figured would become a simple blog article that anyone can blog at. For example, blogger.com through Google. The more I researched it and the more I looked at this and the more I studied it, I realized, wait a minute, I got cheated. And even more than that, I realized that and the Democratic Party, the Democrat Socialist Party monopoly tyranny here in California owns the injustice. And I believe that an insurgent Republican Party, a resurgent opposition party, can lever that to, at the very least, make their lives extremely uncomfortable. Okay, so if I can get the mouse working, I blog about this here. You don't see it right here, but this is the blog page that where I blog about ideas involving jury duty law. You can see it again at this blog page right there. Now here in California, county level jury duty, California state law coming from the Sacramento legislature defines the way California jury duty law works at the county level. And the last time they reformed jury duty pay and mileage to give jury duty temp employees, and they are employees, and we'll see that shortly, was July 1st, 2000. And the way it works now, as structured then, is that jury duty employees, temp employees, receive $15 a day for each day that they work, starting day 2. So, folks, we get to work as jury duty temp employees for free day 1. Oh, and by the way, the jury duty fees technically are taxable. Yeah. The California legislature has also decided that jury duty temp employees should receive 17 cents a day. Don't believe that BS about 34 cents. It's 17 cents a mile because they expect you only to drive your car going to the courthouse. Somehow, your car automatically returns to your home without use of your fuel, right? And again, these rates were set on July 1st, 2000. And by the way, this rate here is completely, officially, technically taxable. Okay. If you dig around in the official jury duty paperwork, you'll see these numbers. I don't think one jury duty temp employee in 1 million actually looks at those numbers or reads through the BS paperwork that my buddy Daryl Mahood, who runs the LA County jury duty system, produces and supplies. So yeah, California jury duty temp employees set these numbers. I'm sorry, California legislature employees set these numbers. But let's start thinking about what we each personally pay them. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, as of 2017, each of us pay each California legislature employee in the Senate and in the State Assembly more than $100,000 a year, which is, of course, completely tax-free and completely overpriced. But look here, if they clock in for even 1 second, even each day that they clock in for even 1 second, for a 1 second shift, they also receive, as of 2017, $183 a day, completely tax-free. And that was as of 2017. I believe now that price has increased to above $190 a day. They will say that there's some nonpartisan private commission group thing that sets these prices, so it's out of their hands. Well, they invented the law that in turn authorized the existence of that nonpartisan commission that sets legislature compensation rates. So right there, comparing this number alone with these numbers here, the Democrat Party tyranny owns these numbers, and right there, I believe they would take a horrible hit, and they would make their lives extremely uncomfortable if an insurgent candidate, even around here in Los Angeles County, would shine light on this. So that's just the magic tax-free per diem that these legislature employees receive from each of us. Then there's the mileage. As of 2016, you can see this here. See that? As of 2016, each of us pay each California legislature employee, Senate and Assembly, 53 cents a mile. Or if we want to play the game their way, $1.06 a mile going one way. All right, you're laughing, but what I'm saying is this contrast, these truths could really make them take a terrible hit. I mean, and this was as of 2016 with the magic auto increasing gas tax increase that they invented against us last year. This price will only go up. I don't know what the latest price is, but it sure as hell didn't go down. And by the way, this also is tax-free to them. Now, I say jury duty is a job. It has more, it has more than enough aspects of a job to make it a job, but that's just me talking. I mean, it has in no specific order. It has a defined location. It has rules of procedure. It has a hiring boss. It has scheduled days and times. Blah blah blah. Darrell Mahood himself calls it service in the paperwork that he sends us. But that's just me talking. Let's watch this. Peter, if you can dial the sound.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Fogel. I've been a United States District Judge since 1998, and I am now the Director of the Federal Judicial Center. As you probably know by now, this is a patent case. So you may be wondering, how can I sit in judgment on a case like this when I'm not entirely sure what a patent is? We hope to answer that concern with this brief video, which will give you some of the background needed to do your job.
Did you hear that? Homeboy defined jury duty as a job right there. He's apparently he's getting it ready to retire, but he said that as he was working as a federal judge, and he said that on federal time. He said that in a YouTube vid that the federal judiciary hosts in their own YouTube channel. He freely and clearly defined jury duty as a job. And by the way, he went to Harvard Lawyer School. And again, you're laughing, but it is funny, but it's not. What I'm saying is all this material is more and more it serves as more and more resources to throw at the Democratic Party monopoly tyranny here in California to force them to put them on the defensive, force them on the defensive. Now, this is, unfortunately, we don't see it live, but this is a locally saved version of the Los Angeles County jury duty, the Los Angeles County jury duty website. Peter, you know all about it. It looks familiar to you, right? Yeah, okay. They embedded a YouTube vid right here. Now, unfortunately, I can't get to Wi-Fi right now, but I did manage to somehow save this YouTube vid on this laptop. Let's watch.
What's the first thing you think of when you hear the words jury duty? Defending an accused not necessary or inconvenience to your schedule?
It's the time you have to take off work. I don't really have time for it.
Do I have time for this?
It's time to take a fresh look at jury service. Not as a duty, but as a privilege. There's no justice without you.
You know, he's talking there too, Yeah.
I tell prospective jurors that
Mary Tyler Moore
12
show.
of you will always be wiser than one of you. And I firmly believe
That's the
that.
guy
It
talking.
all starts with the selection process where jurors are chosen for a trial.
So I wanted to ask everybody some questions.
We sat in the gallery and waited for the court clerk to call us up one by name. The jurors will then sit in the jury box and be asked questions.
We did so let me ask a question of everybody in general.
As they get into the jury box, it's as if a light switch comes on and they now start seeing the process.
Getting picked for that jury, you really feel like a VIP.
You decide the next case only from the evidence you have seen or heard during trial.
So Ms. Casem, I think I saw your hand up also when we were talking.
I thought it was very enlightening watching how the law works in action.
Please raise your right hand.
Your job is a juror.
Did you hear that? Your job as a juror. So that means, well, first off, that gentleman there, that's Daniel Buckley. He's the supreme judge of Los Angeles County. So he runs the show, and I think he still has that job right now. I think he still has a judge job, and he still has that title of something about the supreme judge of Los Angeles County. He must agree because he co-starred in that vid. So what I'm saying is Los Angeles, a huge piece of government, the Los Angeles County government embedded that vid, and they must have known what it said. So that means they freely admit that jury duty is a job. Well, since it's a job, I believe they should be doing advocacy to make sure that jury duty temp employees receive lawful minimum wage for all hours of work with zero tax and zero tax paperwork, because no jury duty temp employee ever applied for the jury duty job. And if we have to pay tax on that, that means that jury duty temp employees would receive less than minimum wage for a job that they did not voluntarily apply to get. And that covers the 53 cents a mile that I say jury duty temp employees should receive. Because I didn't set that number. The California legislature receives that number and they approve of 53 cents a mile. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us. With zero tax and zero tax paperwork. And again, start thinking about this. Start thinking about how an insurgent candidate can do a publicity stunt in front of, say, downtown criminal courts. Here, in front of downtown criminal courts, the way Carl DeMaio did in front of Caltrans downtown, setting up his podium, calling in a press conference, and that's how I met John Cruikshank some months ago, and squawking away with jurors running around all over the place. All right. So you would think a couple of things. One, the first thing you think is that, well, gee, the lawyer industry should have noticed this, and they should have done like activism to try to protect and defend the constitutional, the labor, and the employment rights of jury duty temp employees. I mean, after all, and we have all heard judges and lawyers, especially judges in the jury duty voir dire warm-up speeches, talk about how much they love jury duty temp employees and how much, and the importance and the relevance of jury duty to make truth, justice, and the American way happen. We've all heard that BS, right? Yeah, we've all heard it. Okay. One moment. In 1996, a blue ribbon commission panel grouping full of judges and wonderful, honorable judges and lawyers. They're really modest about it. See that? Honorable? They're honorable and modest. Got together and they invented a blue ribbon commission report on jury duty system improvement. And at least one of them, if I can find him here, yeah, I think this guy is still alive. So maybe at some point he might want to answer some questions about this. But Gil Garcetti. Yeah, right. I think he had a day job as LA mayor at some point a couple of years ago, and apparently he had a day job as DA for Los Angeles County. So he owns a lawyer license. So and he was on this blue ribbon commission panel. So this reflects his opinions and thinking about jury duty. I'll scroll down here. I can find it. Here we go. Yeah. The lawyer industry, as we've all heard when we show up for jury duty, just loves jury duty temp employees. And they love us so much that they believe it is fair and appropriate to require attendance at court for one day without receiving compensation from the court. Right? I mean, it's either one or the other. They love us or they hate us. I say the evidence shows and proves that they hate us. Again, you're laughing, and it is funny, but it's not.
Is the one-day probationary period?
No, I have no idea. They invented these numbers out of their butts. I mean, if any of us, John, I think you run a private business, right? Yeah. Well, what would happen if you tried paying your employees $0.00 for the first day a new contract or project starts? What would happen?
I was just thinking, what do we think the back charges are at this point?
Oh,
Have you calculated it yet?
no, and that's a very good question. I've actually thought about that myself. So John, you're talking about back pay, right?
Yeah, the back pay.
Oh, of course. Wait, so you're saying for back pay since, 1868? When, no, you're laughing, but it's not funny. Since, what was it, Amendment 13, no involuntary servitude? Amendment 13, United States Constitution.
Really?
Yes, that's a very good question. Yes.
Really?
I went once.
Sure.
I went to Compton Court.
Every state that does not pay its jury duty temp employees minimum wage for all hours worked with zero tax and zero tax paperwork, and every state that does not pay its jury duty temp employees 53 cents a mile. And I get that number because it's good enough for California legislature employees.
What's the percentage of tax dollars that goes to the use of this type of money?
Unknown. I see enough abuse here.
It sounds like they're not paying enough. Is jury duty worth it?
Well, obviously it's worth it to the lawyer industry because they will implode if they can't hire jury duty temp employees. Do you see, now you're starting to see the power that a 1 or 2 year wildcat jury duty strike could lever.
Wow.
With
That's
juries
interesting.
in federal court,
Interesting.
Okay, that's a good question. I think they get paid $40 a day, but I'm not sure. But it's still, they don't get minimum wage.
Grand jury?
Unknown. But that's kind of a special case because as I understand it, grand jury duty temp employees volunteer for that job. Right? I've never met a grand jury. I've never touched it myself. It's never touched me. That's just what I've heard. But they also should get minimum wage themselves and 53 cents a mile because it's a job. Right?
Yeah, but you forget, most companies, unless you're, privately employed, most companies reimburse employees for jury duty.
And that's fine.
Yes, I heard that.
And that's fine. But that becomes, as I see it, an accounting issue because the California legislature should reform this to, on the front end, pay jury duty temp employees minimum wage with zero tax and zero tax paperwork, highest prevailing minimum wage at the location of the courthouse, and 53 cents a mile, zero tax paperwork, and any after job accounting between the employer and the employee. That's a separate issue.
Well, you can't get paid twice.
If they need to
If
set,
you're self-employed, you don't get paid at all.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, if you're
and that's what I'm saying.
Companies pay employees.
And that's what I'm saying. If you start
Not,
talking about that as
not
I
all
see it,
companies pay.
You don't have to pay.
and that's what I'm saying. If that's kind of like getting into the weeds in the sense that if you start talking about that, legislature employees will take that as kind of an excuse to double talk it and do drama all day long and avoid reforming the issue. First things first, and you're right, that's very important, but first things first, it has to get fixed as I see it. And jury duty temp employees have the leverage to tell the hiring judge. I was planning to do it, planning to tell the hiring judge, you either pay me or I won't do the job. And in fact, I did that some years ago, and the judge kicked me out, which is fine. I mean, I don't care. I don't care. That's fine. I think of them the same way they think of me. Any other questions at this point? Yes.
Have they ever thought of doing instead of getting volunteers under duress, to have like a permanent jury staff that can get paid?
Yeah. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think there's the judiciary and government generally, lawyers and so on. They kind of decided that the best way to structure jury duty is to have people selected from the area, the jurisdiction where trials happen. It's it's supposed to make the trial system work and operate better. It's supposed to lead to fairer, more honest verdicts and findings of justice.
Yeah, I had like a lawsuit years ago, and my lawyer, because I was going to go to court, and he said, but taking this deal, and he said, you really want to go before jurors, number one, if they're not smart enough to get out of jury duty, you really, you wouldn't want them judging you. And then they came out of the thing, and I thought, oh God, yeah. I mean, $2.50 an hour people, and okay, I'll take the deal. I don't want to go before these people.
I kind of get what you're saying, but that's kind of getting away from what I'm saying. Actually, I will address, at least in a side way, what you're talking about, but just hang on to that thought. So I started wondering, how is it that, well, okay, here in California, as we know, as conservatives, we know that activism is a big industry. It's a huge industry. It's a very profitable, successful, effective industry. And, it's in the billions of dollars. I define activism as this idea that someone can write a big old giant check to a political action committee and or to a legislature employee, Senate, state Senate, state assembly, or federal office, local offices, and so on. And, activism is such a big industry, and activists, professional activists, they just go on and on about this, that, the other cause and injustice and wrongness that they are determined to resolve and resist and fix and fight and all that. I would have thought that the activism industry would have noticed these injustices and done activism to try to get everything resolved and fixed to protect the labor, the employment rights, the constitutional rights of jury duty temp employees, right? I mean, it happened with Justice Smollett, right? Yeah, it did. I mean, it didn't, the event that he described didn't even happen, but he sure got a lot of activism support. So where was all the activism to speak up and speak out about the rights of jury duty temp employees? Unfortunately, I can't see the web here, but I have everything on this spreadsheet here. So what I did is I focused on two major activists here in California. Thomas Steyer, we all know and love him, and Barbara Streisand.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
We can see, and by the way, this spreadsheet is available at this website, ijuror.blogspot.com, right here. This URL will lead directly to it. It's a Google Sheet that clones, that clones this spreadsheet file here with all the tabs, blah, 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 blah. Everything is live, everything works. I have to import it into Excel because I can't see the web. All right, fine. Homeboy Thomas Steyer. We can see that starting in 1997, he sure does pay lots of that political campaign contribution money. These negatives here, by the way, that I got this information from this federal government website. It's not my job to clean their data. I just dropped the data that they gave me into what became the Google spreadsheet. That's probably not negative, but talk to the feds, don't talk to me. No, I'm serious. Look at all that money he pays. See that?
Is he Republican?
He is.
Yeah.
He's a victim. He's a victim. That's the richest.
I'm going fast here, but you can see the numbers tend to increase. Ooh, there's one for $1 million to something called Next Generation. 2 million, 5 million, 15 million. Wow, look at all that.
And where's the money coming from?
His bank account.
Jeez.
Suitcase.
He's a billionaire.
Oh, no
And-
wonder.
You know, now, oh, by the way, in this spreadsheet that you will find on Google if you so choose, you can go direct to images that the federal government, the Federal Election website, the Federal Election Commission website hosts, so you can verify that the numbers here match the numbers that I say came from the feds. Oh, there's one, $5 million. And on and on and on and on and on it goes. And not one, to the best of my knowledge and investigation, not one of the people and or committees that received this money has anything to do with jury duty reform. Zero, nothing. I have done more activism to fix jury duty and reform jury duty than has Mr. Steyer. And this just covers the federal contribution money that he has paid. Okay? California, the state of California changed its own political campaign contribution website in sometime in 2017, but he also likes to make California contributions. You can see, oh, here's one, $20 million. He just wrote a check. Not one of these payments involved jury duty reform. But you can see that he sure did pay a lot of money to a lot of California legislature employees who I believe would have an incentive to not ask questions about any of this. Okay. After June 2017, he didn't stop. He just kept going. You can see, that's the latest information that I have for him. So he doesn't seem to have much interest that I can see based on his the money he's paid in jury duty reform. So I eventually started, well, not eventually, I soon enough started wondering, well, how does he handle jury duty? I mean, he lives in San Francisco City County. It's kind of a combined thing, City and County. Only one in California that does that. Technically, he's supposed to show up for jury, he's supposed to handle jury duty the same way I handle it. So I have questions about this, and I wrote it down here. Before I go further on that, keep in mind that that government employees, federal and or state, with the information, with jury duty history information, are not allowed to talk about it. I know that because I ran the experiment. I made the calls, I asked the questions, and I was told no. Additionally, I also found very easily the jury duty history information from private sources, private non-government sources, for Oprah Winfrey, Taylor Swift, former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, and Oracle CEO Larry Ellison. In other words, you can do simple Google searches and you can find jury duty history information for all four of them. They're all very rich, they're all very wealthy, rich and wealthy, which is good. They may or may not have involvement in politics. I think Oprah Winfrey certainly does. But at the same time, they all did their bit. And Oprah Winfrey, as I understand it, if I remember right, she sat on a really nasty murder trial in Chicago in, I believe, 2002 or something, or maybe much later.
Texas.
Hmm?
Was in Texas. And she served in Texas.
Yeah, it was a murder trial that she served as a jury duty temp employee. She did it. She did her bit. All right. Yeah, it was a conviction. Yeah, I think she voted to convict. That's right. Yeah, she voted to convict. So this is what I found for Thomas Steyer. And again, you can find this. It's one of the tabs. It's one of the spreadsheet tabs in the Google sheet that I linked in on the iJuror blog page. I found that all these Thomas Steyers, I found these names in the California political campaign contribution history and the federal campaign contribution history when I did searching for Thomas Steyer. So you can see what's going on here. We'll pick that name, for example. This Thomas Steyer has paid all this money, and his jury duty history information is unavailable from California government sources and from federal government sources. I want to know what's going on with him. I want to know if he handles jury duty the same way I handled it, the same way Peter handled it, the same way all of us handled it. He's sure paying a lot of money for some reason. I want to know what's going on with him. You can see every one of these names ties to at least one political campaign contribution. I own this information, and I demand to see just exactly how that Thomas Farr Steyer handles jury duty. I want to know what's going on. And the same idea extends to Barbara Streisand. She's paid political campaign contribution money since 1997. Not as, one more thing. John, I cleaned up the spreadsheet since I showed it to you a couple months ago. Yeah, you can see the grand totals here. He has paid almost $240 million of political campaign contribution money. So when, for example, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Attorney Elizabeth Warren start squawking off about government for the rich, and we have to take government power away from the rich who pay all this political campaign contribution money, well, I'm sure they would love to answer questions and address the issues of the $239 million that Thomas Steyer has paid and his obligations to serve on a jury. You're laughing about this, and it's funny, but it's not. I mean, this is relevant stuff. And this, again, I keep saying it, it's the kind of stuff that an insurgent candidate, I believe, could and should ask. Right? And the mileage on this would go all around the country. All right. Focusing on our friend, Barbara Streisand. She's paid political campaign contribution money that I know of since 1997. She's paid a lot of it. You can see it, she tends to go for smaller payments, but she tends to spread them out more. So she's done this literally hundreds of times. That's more than 400 times she's done this, right? And the same questions apply to her. She's paid money in California, according to the California website, as through October 2016. You see she's done it too. And not one of her political campaign contributions, state and or federal, involves jury duty reform. Since the California political campaign contribution website changed, she's only done this 3 times.